Hey, and welcome back to the Talos Principle. Last time we finished the game. We're here at a chapter freedom and we cannot actually continue, so we are going to have to restore a backup. I looked at this last time. I think the last backup that I've had is probably when I picked up the last star. But here's also the thing. I'm gonna load this piece. I don't actually know where we are going to end up. I just wanted to like do this together. Okay, apparently we still have the 10 stars. That's important, which means that we are basically done. And wait, we are on we're on level 5, right? And level 5 is like once I go through there. Wait, was it here? I am sometimes so forgetful. I should probably mention it's been like 3 weeks since I last got to play, just because I was really busy IRL. And yeah, it should have been here, right? Like there was like a way for me to progress on the other side, if I recall correctly, right? Okay, apparently I have not opened that door yet. But like if I do, then there's like the gate that actually brings me outside. Okay, so I would have to repeat this puzzle if I wanted to. Okay, now I at least know where I am currently in the game, but here's the thing. We finished the first ending of the game. I wasn't quite ready to jump up here, but hey, you know what, let's take the elevator instead, so we can actually yap about stuff. So here's the thing. I still have what I'm assuming to be 2 different endings to this game. And because I waited so long to do like the first ending, which is like this one now, because this is like kind of the... Okay, I don't think this is like the canonical ending, but like because I did not want to go through like the gates, for example, which I could have done like episodes ago. Because I waited so long, it's kind of put me into like an awkward spot, because I'm assuming they're going to be like around 3 episodes left, or 4 technically. It's going to be one where we read everything in the next star area. It's going to be the puzzle of the star area, and it's going to be like the finale, I'm assuming, like reaching area 6, or like the 6th layer basically of this tower, right? Those are like the 3 episodes, and I don't know where I'm going to put the other ending.
Child, have you been tempted by the tower? Know that it holds only death for you.
Well, technically, okay, this is like another thing that I have to talk about, because technically it does in a way. But let's go to area C. I'm gonna go down there. So I don't know where I'm going to do the gate. It's going to be like in one of those 3 episodes. It's probably going to be this episode, depending on how long the reading takes. This is like basically my idea. Depending on whether the puzzles in the next episodes are like really short comparatively, or like the reading this episode is going to be really short, I'm going to also add going through the gate. Because I don't know if it's worth it to split this off into like another episode by itself. So I'm not gonna show, I'm not sure whether this episode is going to be like relatively long, or relatively short. But I don't want to do this like in the beginning of an episode. I feel like this is just pacing-wise kind of terrible. If I wasn't bound by episodes, I would just go through this door right now to just figure out what's going on. But there's like another more stuff to talk about. Wait, this is the proper gate. Where's the Stargate? It should be over here then, right? 5? Wait, am I being stupid? Is it over here? Okay, it's probably over here. Yeah, okay. This is the last one. It's going to be interesting. I'm just going to solve it like as always. It's going to be kind of awkward. Probably because I don't remember how to play this game, right? So this is like the biggest issue that I'm currently facing. If I'm doing it like this, I have to combine it like that. Which is... I mean, no, it's not possible unless this works out, but it doesn't. Can I move you over here? It's still the same thing. I still need to kind of deal with you two, and this is kind of an issue, right? Like this works like that. Also, okay, it's probably just because of the way I rotated this. Yeah, it just feels kind of off in my hands. But yeah, there are a few things that I want to talk about. First of all, Elim just said that this is like the death to me, like for me, if I go to the top of the tower. And we do know that it's like the death for everyone else in the simulation, because the simulation is getting shut off, which I still think is stupid. Why would you do that after just printing like one of the robots, right? I feel like it would be a wise choice to keep the system running, just in case. But, you know, I'm not the one who made this whole system. Maybe they forgot. Maybe it was just like a thing they did in a panic. For whatever reason. How can I... Wait, this is actually the solution. Right, like, but there's still the thing of... Would that still be me? Right, like, whatever gets uploaded. Is that still me? Is it just a copy of myself? Because if it's just a copy... Ooh. I mean, I should have expected the medieval castle look. And there's some writing, and this is a 0. Okay. Good to know. I'm gonna have to actually check the other ones, because I don't quite recall the code anymore. I think it's 830 then? Or 380. What are the others? I feel like those were like the numbers, but I'm gonna have to recheck them. Once I actually climb the tower. I'm gonna look around, because this seems like a rather large area. It's an interesting bridge. Huh. Right, just because there are like areas down there. I'm gonna read in a second. But yeah, like, if it's just a copy of ourselves, right? Like, I feel like we briefly talked about that. And I mean, we didn't have like a real clone talk, right? So I didn't really talk about that too much. But I kind of started talking about that like somewhere time, like on the Snowy Peaks, I feel like. Where I talked like about the idea that, okay, if a person is like kind of the memories and like what they are made out of, then yes, that would be, like a copy would still be yourself. But like, don't forget, like the original still gets deleted, right? And like at that moment where you're getting copied over, yeah, that's like still yourself, but then it's instantly splits basically, right? And like the original is still like, the original that's still inside of this program still gets deleted with the rest. It's just that the copy doesn't realize that the original gets deleted, which is also like a scary thought in a way. But yeah, we have to have like scary thoughts all the time. Yeah, let's just talk to the computer. We don't get a proper conversation, instead we have an N again. I feel like it was just 3 N's, right? Like in the image. So let's just start with the human eye, I guess. Thorough researcher, collect all pieces of written information. Interesting. We just got an achievement. Technically, I guess we got all of them a moment ago, because technically you only have to like interact with the PC once, right? Like even if you close it, you get like all the pieces of information, like the tab menu. But yeah. And also, ASCII as always. What is a man's eye but a machine for the little creature that sits behind in his brain to look through? Okay, it's in 1872, okay. By Samuel Butler again. And some ASCII. And yeah, this is like something I always kind of imagine my life to be like that. That sounds like kind of weird, but like I'm kind of this little figure sitting inside of my brain, controlling everything. Like in a way, right? Like we talked about this. There isn't like, at least to my understanding of the world, not really a soul, right? It would really be yourself, but maybe it's also just because I am interacting so much with like screens most of the time, right? Like even as a child I did spend probably too much time in front of a screen, but like this always gave me like kind of this, I guess, this feeling as if I'm someone sitting inside of my brain watching through my eyes, which are basically just screens again, right? Like internally, which is also why like your focus is kind of weird. Like this is like how I always imagine it, like in a weird way, right? Like I'm not saying that this is like the scientific way this is actually happening, but this is how it feels like to me, right? Like I'm something controlling like this flash mech that I'm sitting inside of, and I'm watching everything through a screen. But yeah. Is it man's eyes, or is it the big seeing engine which has revealed to us the existence of worlds beyond worlds into infinity? What has made man familiar with the scenery of the moon, the spots on the sun, or the geography of the planets? He is at the mercy of the seeing engine for these things, and is powerless unless he tags it on to his own identity and make it part and parcel of himself. Yeah, okay. I think I agree with that text, right? Like, we are so limited in our perception by our eyes, right? Like, there are like other senses we can use, but most of them are like really inaccurate. There are like a few that are interestingly enough really accurate. Like, for example, our sense of touch. Like, we are able to feel like really small grains in like a texture, for example. And I think wasn't there like an example? I don't know if this is actually scientifically accurate, but I have read this one before where I was like said, hey, if you shrunk down like the entire Earth to like the size of, I think there was like an apple or like a tennis ball or something like that, like really small, and then your finger would still be able to feel like regular sized buildings. It might have also been like cars or something like that, like something really small, right? Like they might not be able to feel the shape, but they would definitely feel that something was off in a spot, right? And this is like really fascinating for how inaccurate our sense of touch is, because this is just like our fingers. Yeah, we can feel that there's something off, but if I'm only feeling something, and it might also just be because I'm not experiencing the world through my touch, right? Like I feel like someone who may be blind, for example, might experience it quite differently because, like, you know, Braille exists. So I'm assuming that their sense of touch is like a little bit more, I guess, or like they're more trained to their sense of touch. I want to say like the sense of touch is more experienced, but that doesn't actually make sense. Your sense isn't really experienced, right? Like it's you who is experienced with your sense of touch. But yeah, like if I felt something, right? Like if I closed my eyes and tried to, like, this is like an eraser here, right? Like if I tried to, based on just the shape, try to like draw it afterwards, I don't think I could. Like I would have like no idea how it would look like, especially like something like this, right? Like there are like 3 or 4 shapes, mostly because I'm terrible and kind of broke the eraser, like the casing at some point. This one's, by the way, also like over a decade old already. I'm still using that. I love it. It's great. Anyway, where was I? So I always think that this is like really fascinating how like everything is kind of built around your sight, and like I'm really lucky, right? Like I have these glasses, but I don't actually need them. They're mostly just because I'm sitting in so much in front of a screen, so they're like mostly just filters. But like I am always really lucky to be in the position where like my eyesight works properly, right? Like I can read stuff on the other side of a room, kind of eyesight, right? I have like really great eyesight, and it's really hard for me to imagine to live with terrible eyesight. And then people always talking to me about like how they really struggle to see something that's like a meter in front of them, and just because they're like so short-sighted, for example, and must be terrible. But like even with like my great eyesight, I miss stuff constantly, right? Like I cannot imagine how it would be like with terrible eyesight, just because while I have like the sense of perception, there's also like still the part of me that has to process what I'm seeing. And I'm not just saying that because I get like easily distracted. I don't know if you've noticed, but that happens sometimes. But there are also like optical illusions and stuff that's like really easy for us to trick, because like our brain struggles to process stuff. But it's also like not just optical illusions, but there's like a classic example that you see like in, like when you're doing like your driver's license, like in driving school, at least like where I grew up, I got to see that there's like always this image of like a motorcyclist like driving along a road, and you're like inside of a car basically watching it. And it's like near like an alley or something like that. There's like they're like trees, right? Like the canopies are hanging over the road, and the motorcyclist doesn't have his lights on. And like on the static image, it is really hard to see that motorcycle basically, right? It's basically impossible, even though there's like still lighting there, just because of how the shadows work out. And obviously like we have like easily 10 seconds to actually look at that. A person in a car would obviously only have like maybe 3 seconds if they actually stop at a stop sign, which, let's be honest, most people don't do, sadly. I say most. I don't know if there's like a statistic for that, but I have sat in other people's cars and they definitely do not hold for long enough. Anyway, talking about eyesight. I just closed that. I kind of want to actually make progress, so I actually have some time to interact with the door. Wait, what was it called? Tetromino? Okay. One of the most fascinating aspects of Saint Eadwald's recently uncovered writings is his preoccupation with finding divine truth in mathematical concepts, which at times borders on pantheism. He was, it would seem, particularly concerned with what we now call tetrominoes, seeing in them a reflection of the tetragrammaton and the Greek word for God, theos, their ability to form other shapes out of themselves symbolized to him the creator's ability to reshape the world without breaking the laws he himself had established. Okay. Erdwalds referred to Tetrainoes as sigilla. Okay, this is... I want to say, like, there's definitely something in there that kind of rings a bell. So sigils, implying that they were a more truthful version of the magical symbols worshipped by heathens, rooted in both the Abrahamic tradition and careful observation of creation. It is unlikely that these texts were distributed, as they would almost certainly have resulted in charges of heresy. Okay, I wanted to say, like, there are, like, these symbols, right? Like the sigils that they're talking about, like, allowing the ability to shape something without changing the rules, right? Like, I definitely see the inspiration for, like, the sigils that we are collecting here with, like, Elohim, right? Like, because while Elohim in this world is kind of a god, he himself is also quite bound by the rules of this world, interestingly enough. I say interestingly enough, I mean, it makes sense if you understand that he's kind of just a guide for the rest, right? Like for the program, which is also why he doesn't have like total control over us, for example, right? Like if you really gave him like that power, he would just shut down everyone kind of entering the tower, right? In a way. But it still doesn't explain why we need those sigils. This is like one of the big questions that I have yet to understand, right? Like we get these sigils to unlock the tower. But why? Why is that the limit? That's like something that I don't think the game has answered in a way. Which I still think is like really fascinating. Because like we have seen that there was like this one puzzle where like I guess the puzzle was kind of broken, right? Like the textures were broken and he changed them. Like when we were walking around there because he assumed that someone changed them. I don't know if it was like a bug or like maybe the serpent was it. I don't know. I still don't know like the amount of control that the serpent has, which is, you know, another interesting thing to think about in a way. Because, I mean, he did show that he has like some control, right? Wasn't it like the one scene where our camera was kind of flickering for a moment? Or am I imagining something like that? When he talked about like his control over the world. But like he doesn't seem to have like any physical control over the world, right? But yeah, I'm just gonna leave it here. It's still interesting to put it in here, right? Like about like the sigils. Funnily enough, we have seen them thanks to a bug, right? Like if you jump off the world, I don't know why I didn't see it like in the recording, like, but like there was like the one episode where we completely glitched out of the world, like jumped off, and we could see like this the sigils like in front of us, which I thought was like really fascinating because I don't know if I actually glitched like even more than I was supposed to glitch, right? Like I felt like this, I broke something in the system and for some reason something didn't work. So they still had like a backup, like the creators, like not just of this world, right? Like, but like the, I guess the makers of this video game, right? They had like a backup in case you break the world basically, that you could still see this piece of lore that like the sigils actually made up like the outside of the world, which I thought was like really fascinating. Anyway. Preservation. I viewed with a mixture of pity and horror these beings trained to be sold to slaughter, or be slaughtered, and fell into reflections on an old opinion of mine that it is the preservation of the species, not of individuals, which appears to be the design of the deity throughout the whole of nature. Blossoms come forth only to be blighted, fish lay their spawn where it will be devoured, and what a large portion of the human race are born merely to be swept prematurely away. And I'm assuming some ASCII. Will Stonecraft marry? Okay. Does not this waste of budding life empathetically assert that it is not men, but man whose preservation is so necessary to the completion of the grand plan of the universe? Children peep into existence, suffer and die. Men play like moths about a candle and sink into the flame. War and the thousand ills which flesh is heir to mow them down in shoals, whilst the more cruel prejudices of society palsy existence, introducing not less sure though slower decay. Okay, and this is also interesting because like I mean, there are like some things that are like just the truth, right? Like we have, through random evolution, right? Like evolution in a way, obviously it's like not an active process in the sense that there's like some will in there, but like evolution only checks for the ability to like procreate, right? It does not care otherwise, which is why there are like also like a lot of animals, especially like fish. I know like a lot of fish like lay their spawn and basically just die, right? Because afterwards they're not really needed, and if enough are born, then they can at least replace themselves and like even more. And like I guess this evolutionary mechanism does not check for like survival after laying their eggs, which is always like on one hand fascinating, on the other hand cruel in a way. I mean, the universe is cruel, but the universe also doesn't care, like one way or another, which is always fascinating to think about. And yeah, due to that, you could assume that if there were a will in the universe, it would not care about individuals. It would only care about, like, I guess, a species in a way. And again, I don't think that there's a will of the universe, but like if there were, it would make sense that it would only be about like a species, which I guess like I want to say, like, maybe there's like a connection that we could make to like our situation where only one of us gets to survive at the end and like all the rest gets deleted. But it doesn't really, right? Like, because like we are like I'm gonna call it like a human 2.0 in a way, right? Like we are there to replace humanity. And while it's not in a biological sense, like in a spiritual sense, we are definitely there to continue what has happened before, right? We have like the knowledge of humans, and we are built in their image, both physically and like mentally. That's like the idea, which is why like this whole system is apparently there to test for personhood / humanity in a way, if you want to combine those together a little bit. So that's something. So I wanted to combine that a little bit, but then it still doesn't make sense that we only get like one print of us, right? Unless I'm misunderstanding like the first ending that we had in a weird way. Well, in any case, I guess we are done with that one. We do have the image. Okay, 3 stars. That's wrong, but sure. I'm just gonna terminate the session here. And I'm quite sure that the last one is a 0. I'm gonna, before I enter the tower again, I'm going to write down like the code proper. I'm gonna just, you know, because like this recording session is probably going to last for at least an hour or so, I'm gonna quickly make like a note here of like the 3 numbers so I don't forget them in between, right? In any case, I said, just because like this episode has only been like 20 minutes, I am going to go back. This might be like a long episode. I don't know how much is going to change. And again, like this is kind of an awkward spot due to how episodes on YouTube work. But I'm still curious about this one.
Forward, child. Eternity awaits.
Like I do know. Can I, by the way, save? If I press stop game, it tells me I saved 10 seconds ago. So I should be able to reset to this place, I hope. So let's see what happens. By the way, has anything changed in those text? First to ascend. Everyone away ascends or gets reset eventually. What's the big deal? Yeah, that's the follower. But yeah. I know it's like kind of weird to rush into that one, but this is technically not the ending that I would have chosen. I'm just curious about like what I would have gotten, right? Like if I had only one attempt, right? I would have gone for like all the sigils first, right? Obviously, this is like a completionist in me, but I felt like it made more sense to have like that ending at the very end, just because it feels like the truest ending, just because it involves more work. And this is like technically the ending that I cared the least about, in a way. I still need to put it somewhere, right? So I guess time to get blinded. How far can I go before? Do I want to go backwards? Sure. I'm still so blind. I can still leave. Okay, no, let's do it properly. Ha! Oh, I still have the gate. I can actually return. That's cool. That's different to the other gate that we have seen. But then again, the world has kind of been destroyed at that point. And this is the way to eternity. Interestingly enough, looks quite similar. Oh, I want to say the shading was kind of off. But hey, I guess we still have a terminal here, which is interesting. I kind of did not expect a terminal to end up here. I guess we actually get to talk to the serpent again. Huh. Hey. Oh, what are we going to learn about? I can exit. I can eternalize. Terminating session. Okay, I guess I'm not even going to talk to the serpent here. That's interesting. I don't know what I expected, but I guess we have to eternalize at some point. You now be prepared for ascension into eternity. Please stand by. 3, 2, 1, 0. Eternal life. It's not for everyone.
Rejoice, my child, as you leave this world behind. For all that you accomplished shall be passed on to your generations. In this land they shall thrive, and you shall be remembered as the beloved servant of Elohim. And so death shall have no dominion over you. Be well, my child. Be at peace.
Interesting that the child program independence check. I guess we are not independent enough. So we failed that check. Erasing memory banks. Oh, they're getting more credits. Still kinda neat. As I mentioned, right, this is like the one that I care like about the least in a way, right? Like I'm a rebel at heart, right? Like I don't like following those orders. So like my curiosity definitely would have brought me to the tower either way. No matter if there's like the full 30-star version or like the other one. Restarting simulation. Done. Initializing firmware. I'm actually curious about like whether we are going to end 9933. Okay. We're starting a child process. Are we starting at the beginning again? Is this just like a metaphor for starting at the beginning again? Huh. Or do we get like our own ascended area? No, it's the beginning again. Okay. This is where we started. It's actually where we started. Huh.
Behold, child, you are risen from the dust, and you walk in my garden. Hear now my voice, and know that I am your maker, and I am called Elohim. Seek me in my temple, if you are worthy.
I mean, it's definitely interesting. Journal empty. Okay, so initializing child program. Yeah, we can look at everything again, but we don't have anything anymore. I'm assuming that this is a new save. I don't know if it's also a... Like, I know how to do like those those puzzles. We have like a few minutes to check around, right? Just because I'm curious. What happens? Like, obviously we need to do that. We don't really need like both of them, but just because I... Wait a second. Just because I like doing that. Let's bring the jammers with us. Now the question is... Okay, there are like a few things that I have like as a question. Right, I always have like so many questions. Are like my old notes still here? I don't actually need you. You're still by Ed, yeah? I am assuming that nothing...
Across this land, I have created trials for you to overcome. And within each, I have hidden a sigil. It is your purpose to seek these sigils, for thus you will serve the generations to come and attain eternal life.
I mean, eternal life sounds funny. I want to see if like the stars are still here. I don't know if I'm like still on the same save or if I actually reset everything. Yeah, you're still there. And I brought a jammer so I can actually jam you. Good thing that I remembered where this is because I struggled so much last time. Okay, I feel like this is literally a new save. I'm not sure if I want to play in the save. Right, I got like a star. Yeah, okay. That's interesting to know. I might experiment with this one more later. So here's the thing. I mentioned there are like 3 episodes that I had planned. I also kind of forgot to mention I still want to do like a bonus episode for like all the stuff that I missed in this game. And there's also a part of me that wants to experiment with like certain things, I guess. That's the best way to explain it. But for now, I'm just kind of curious what happens if I go back to main menu and play. Restore backup. Okay, I want to say, like, I can restore the backup. So there's, like, definitely a part of me that is curious about, like, doing that again. I don't know if there's, like, anything that could happen. Right, anything special that happens by restarting. I'm really curious about, like, seeing that. And I might actually go for that. But that's not going to be what I'm going to do now. Because I still have to, like, repeat some puzzles and stuff, right? Like, there's still a little bit more for me to explore. So we are going to do that in the next episode. In any case, I hope you enjoyed this one, and I wish you a wonderful rest of your day. I'll be seeing you next time. Till then, have a good one, and bye-bye.